Just a couple of things for practice today. I have 2 yoga blocks. If you don't have these at home, you can use some books. I have my thick Harry Potter books that I like to use if I don't have my blocks handy. It's not completely necessary, but it's nice to have if we need to bring the earth up to us. And then I also have a blanket handy. It doesn't have to be, again, a fancy yoga blanket. It can be a beach towel. It can be just a blanket off the couch, a throw. It's kind of nice to have to pad up the knees, to pad up the bottom, and then at the end when we do a little bit of restorative after we've done some exploration, it's nice to have as well. So that said, we'll go ahead and get started. We're actually going to begin today's practice on our back. And you can right away use that blanket if you would like to. Just take your time to come on down to the back side. Scooch my stuff out of the way. My dogs always, as soon as I start recording a video, this is when they all start to chime in and bark and let me know that they need attention. All right, coming down to our back side, we're just going to keep the knees bent for just a moment, kind of shift and adjust that lower part of the body. And then stack the shoulders so they're kind of snuggle in underneath. Feeling the support of the earth. And then let's draw the knees out to the side and bring the soles of the feet together in this butterfly shape. So we're just going to spend a few moments here relaxing, catching some nice good breath, nice good energy. If you would like, you can interlace the fingertips, embrace the back of the head, and take those elbows out into that same kind of butterfly shape here. And as soon as you feel comforted into the mat, go ahead and close the eyes down. And we'll spend these next few moments checking in with the body, checking in with the breath, and arriving in our space. Just notice all the points of the body that rest onto the earth. And do a little body scan, checking in from head to toe. Noticing which areas of the body are needing extra attention. Maybe which areas of the body are feeling a little open and ready. Together, let's draw a nice deep inhale in through the nose. And part the lips and exhale it out through the mouth. Again, inhaling in through the nose. Part the lips and exhale out the mouth. One more time, filling the entire body with that inhale. Hold at the top for just a moment. And then exhale, sigh it all out. Spending just a few more moments, feeling the rise and the fall of the belly with that deep breath. And I invite you for this next hour that we're together to go ahead and put our to-do list aside. The hardest part is already done by showing up for yourself. And so spend this next 60 minutes focusing on yourself. Focusing on the sensations in the body, hearing our breath, Releasing the head from behind the hands. Taking the hands down to the legs, let's slowly guide those knees together. Walk the feet so that they're in line with the hips and place the palms down onto the earth. So this is a very subtle movement that we're going to start with. We're just going to start to tip that tailbone towards the rib cage and then down towards the heels. So you'll notice I'm not raising my hips or my bum up off of the earth. I'm just doing this little pelvic tilt of bringing those hips and that pelvis forward and back. So tilt that tailbone down towards the heels, hollow out the belly and bring it towards the rib cage. Let's do this a few more times, just tilting back and forth. Giving a nice massage into the kidney meridian. You feel pretty good to massage out the sacrum. Just a few more moments. Shifting back and forth with that tailbone. And you'll notice as we go along in this, maybe it starts to feel like it's a little bit easier to find that movement and we can make it a little bit bigger. A slow process of waking up the spine. And then come into neutral, making sure that that sacrum, so that heart shape at the base of our spine is on the earth. And we'll have a natural little curvature of the spine. So you'll feel that upper back onto the earth and then that lower back with that little curve in the back of the spine, right above the sacrum. Place the palms down, and then we're just going to slowly start to build onto this. Placing all of the weight into all four corners of the feet. Start to peel the hip points up towards the ceiling. Don't have to go super high. Hold at the top for a moment, and then slowly lower back down to the earth. Let's do that again. Press those hip points up towards the ceiling. Pause at the top, and then lower back down. Again, raising up into that bridge, pressing into the heels, pressing into the toes, bringing those hip points up. Let's pause at the top. We're going to hold here for a moment. I want you to think as if you had one of those yoga blocks, and you can even grab one and place it between the knees. So a lot of times we start to splay those knees out to the side, but we want to keep the feet in line with the hips. So we're just going to do a couple figure eights here. Keep the hips above the earth, and we're just going to shift around side to side, switching the direction, building strength into the back of those legs as well as our hip flexors and our quads, and then very slowly lower down to the earth. Feel a little bit of a workout right away. We're going to do this again, but this time we're going to add the arms and pick up the pace a little bit. So as we raise the hip points up towards the sky, guide the hands above the head. Make sure that we are not blocking the airway. We want to keep a little bit of space between the chin and the chest. Squeeze down here a little bit. So raising up with the hands, lowering the hands, lowering the bum down to the earth. Keep finding that great alignment as if we're pressing that block between the knees as we raise up and lower down. Do this 2 more times. Raising up, breathing, and then lowering down. 1 more time. Raise up those hip points, raise up those arms. Let's hold here for a few moments. So we're not clenching in the glutes, we're really pressing into the feet and feeling the legs engage and fire up. Lower the palms and lower the hips and that bottom back down to the earth. Let's draw the knees into the chest Give them a little hug and squeeze here. Giving those internal organs a little wake-up call as well. Holding on to the knees, draw circles into one direction. And then into the opposite direction. Place the legs back down, soles of the feet back down onto the earth. Last little stretch before we get off of our backside. I'm going to extend that right foot up high and take my hands behind the thigh of that right leg. My legs are feeling a little bit sore today, so I can definitely feel this. Guide that leg in towards the body. If you would like a little bit more intensity, you can bring the palms up towards the thigh or towards the calves, or even holding onto the foot. But just make sure that those shoulders are still staying down on the earth. Keep guiding that leg in towards the body. And if we'd like to get more into that hip flexor on that left side, extend the left foot down long towards the bottom of the mat. Let's find a little bit of rotation with that extended leg up towards the sky, rolling the foot in one direction, and then in the other direction. Keep the shoulders down onto the earth and that breath fluid. Now point and flex the toes a few times. One more thing on this leg. Let's go ahead and bend the knee. Bring it in over towards the armpit side of that right side. Holding on to it with the right hand. Just going to draw a few individual circles, opening up into the hips. Reverse the direction. And then hold it over towards the armpit side. Squeeze for just a moment. Crossing the body with that left hand, I'm going to take a hold of that right knee, draw it across that extended leg. If you haven't extended that left leg yet, go ahead and do that now. And then we're going to take that right knee across the body, taking that right hand into a Y shape or a T shape. I need a twist here and peeking over the shoulder. That palm, that left palm that is on top of the knee is just here for guidance. We're not pulling or yanking the leg down. We're just letting it open naturally. And if you have that arm into the T, you should feel that good stretch and opening into the armpit chest. Find that deep breath that we had at the beginning of practice, sending it all the way down to the belly. Twists are a great way to wake up the body. Very slowly start to rotate back to the center of the mat. Bring both knees up again, soles of the feet onto the earth. We're going to repeat that on the other side. So straightening that left leg up towards the ceiling and gathering it right behind the thigh here. If you're feeling nice and open, you can bring it up towards the calf area, or maybe if you're feeling really open, up towards the back of the ankle or the toe here. Guide that shape in towards the body, and wherever you're at, we're trying to keep those shoulders down on the earth, so we don't want to be raising up. If you would like to feel the difference by straightening that right leg down towards the earth, go ahead and do that. If you have any pinching in the lower back, just keep that knee bent. You're going to get the same amount of release out of the leg. It's going to be doing the same work here. Let's go ahead and draw some circles in one direction with the ankle, and then the opposite direction. Point and flex the toes a few times. Waking up the feet for our standing practice too is such a great thing. I think an area of the body that we forget to pay attention to is our roots. So it's nice to give some focus to them. Bending into that left knee, just bring that knee in towards the same armpit here. So left knee towards the left armpit. Let's find those circles that we had just a moment ago on the other side. So we're bringing it around, starting to feel those hips. And then reverse the direction of that circle. Squeeze the knee in towards the armpit. Hold here for just a few moments. Now crossing the body with that right hand, go ahead and grab a hold of that left knee, and we're going to twist on the opposite side. So guide it across the leg and bring that left hand into a Y or a T shape. And again, that palm that is on top of the knee is not pulling or tugging. It's just there for a little extra guidance. And we take a peek over that extended hand and feel that good stretch along the backside as well as into the armpit chest. Couple breaths into this twist. Take your time to unwind, come back around to center. Go ahead and center the hips into the mat. Bring the knees into the chest. Give them one more hug and squeeze here. And then just a little check-in. Place the soles of the feet back down onto the earth. Kind of shimmy those hips around a little bit. And I want you to feel, you should start to feel right away a little bit more of that curvature in the spine, that open space between the lower back. This isn't a this is kind of a baggy shirt to show you. But you can even tuck your palms underneath so you feel that little doming right here. And hopefully you can feel it a little bit more and starting to kind of see that the spine is waking up and spreading. Bring the hands to the back of the legs, and we're just going to rock and roll the length of the spine a few times. A little chiropractic work, shifting back and forth. And then come on all the way up, soles of the feet onto the earth, and shift back for just a moment. Bringing hands out into this nice wide T. We're going to take the hands on top of the legs, and we're just going to start to guide the chest in and back. In through the legs, and then back. Using the top of those shins to support ourselves as we find the seated cat-cow. Making sure that we're leading with the chest and then rounding in the back as we come back. Just a few more times of shifting forward and back. Inhale as we press forward and exhale as we round. One more time. Press through and come back. Let's go ahead and rotate around and come onto our knees. You can use that blanket to pad up the knees if you would like. Coming into that tabletop position, stacking the hands right underneath the shoulders and the knees right underneath the hips. Widen the hands so that we are not collapsing into the wrists and creating any harm there. I like to take it out into a little bit of a shape of bringing that thumb and that first finger twisted just a little bit so that I'm not having those fingers forward and collapsing into the wrists. So coming here into that tabletop position, let's check in right away with our alignment. And we're pressing firmly into both hands, pressing up and away from the earth, pressing into both knees. And then we draw that belly button in towards the spine and the head stays level with the spine. Just like we did on our back before our bridges, we're just going to find a few of those pelvic tilts. So not quite into our cat-cows yet, but just a little shift of bringing that hip forward and then that tailbone back. I want you to take your time here to kind of really feel just how that little shift in that pelvis area, really you can feel that opening as we tilt back and forth. The reason why I like to slow down these postures is because sometimes when we go into yoga moves, we just have like a check mark, like, hey, yes, I did cat-cow, yes, I did bridge, yes, I did this, check, check, check. But I want you to feel into each one of these postures. We check in with our alignment, and then we check in and see how does this feel in our body. If we slow it down and really listen as we stretch and release. Starting to grow this a little bit bigger. Bring that tailbone in, tucking the chin in towards the chest, press into the palms, round into that upper back. Hold into our cat pose. Where are you feeling this stretch? Starting with that tailbone. Start to bring those bottoms back and release the chest down, hollowing out the belly, peeking up into our cow. One more round of this, super slow. So tuck that tailbone in, round into the upper back, bring that chin down, the crown of the head down, press into the earth. And just as slowly, starting with that tailbone, tip it back, shine that chest through and peek up. Such a good back bend without having to go super deep. Come back into our tabletop position and then walk the hands up towards the tops of the thighs. So hands come right here, right where our thigh creases meet our hip creases, and then bring those hip points down towards the heels. If this feels like too much, you can use that blanket to stack it right underneath the bottom, so you have that between the bottom and the shins. Roll the shoulders down the back. We're just going to find a few more, so really working into spine here. We're just going to find a few more of those cat-cows. But you'll notice how we switch the positioning, just how it changes in the back. So palms come to the top of the thighs, and then as we dip and round the chin in towards the chest, bring the palms down towards the knees. Raising back up, shine that chest through. Starting to open up a little bit more in the heart, and then dipping down. Raising up, and dipping down. Let's do this a few more times at your own pace. Hopefully the back is feeling much warmer. Rise on back up again, and then bring the palms so that they're coming to the feet. We're going to slowly start to bow the head forward, coming into a rabbit pose. So just listen or watch me for just a moment before you go into this posture. I'm bringing my hands to my heels and then bringing the crown of the head down to the earth. So press the crown of the head down. Make sure that there's no tension in the neck. Take a few breaths here. Release the hands from the heels. Bring them alongside the head and press on up. Coming up into this kneeling position, take your time. Might be a little lightheaded from that inversion. And then raise the fingertips up nice and tall. Staying in this kneeling position for another moment. Keep pressing firmly into the knees, into the earth. We're going to float our flag around a little bit. So just start to shift a little side to side. Getting into side body and core here. And feel free to find any movement that feels good. Maybe taking the arms back and forth, or maybe taking them side to side. Just spend a few moments exploring here. Breathing and feeling that freedom in the body. Make the movements a little bit bigger, a little bit more free-flowing. And last thing that we're going to do here, raise the fingertips up high, dip the tailbone back down towards the heels, and place the palms down onto the earth. Shine the heart open. If this is too intense, then just stay up tall and bring the palms to the lower back into a modified camel. So wherever you're at, we're getting the heart opening, broadening the collarbones, broadening the chest, finding this back bend and breathing. Engage in the core and slowly come around to the front, back into our tabletop position. Let's get up off of these knees. So stack the toes or tuck the toes underneath, walk the handprints, one handprint forward, and then let's start to peel the hip bones up towards the sky. Heels are starting to come down towards the earth. Head comes down between the shoulders. Remember that turn of the thumb and that first finger towards that L shape towards the front of the mat. Take a few petals here, bending into the knees and releasing the heels down. Few breaths in this down dog. Come into stillness in our down dog. I'm going to walk that left foot behind the right foot, crossing it behind. Then press that tailbone up towards the sky and feel this good stretch in side body as well as in the calves. Check in with those shoulders. Make sure that you're not swaying to one side. You're staying firm in both hands and stacking both shoulders, pressing down. Uncross the legs, and let's bring that opposite pinky toe over to that opposite side and sink back again. Keep that tailbone up high. Inhale. And on the exhale, release the cross of the legs. Bend the knees, peek towards the front of the mat, and we'll take a couple steps all the way up to the front. When we arrive to the front of the mat, go ahead and melt down into this forward fold. Bending knees generously for our first forward fold. Taking the hands to the top of the shins, find a halfway lift. Flat back, shoulders roll down. Inhale here. Exhale, float down. Paint the hands to the top of the thighs. And we're just going to find that half lift and then melt down. Keep the hands on top of the thighs. Bend into the knees. We're going to do this a couple times. Halfway lift, melt down. Halfway lift again, melt forward. One more time, using the hands on top of the thighs to find that halfway lift. Melt down. Let's do that one more time. So you'll notice we're kind of finding that same flexion in the spine as we did in our cat-cows, raising up and lowering down. Hands come down to the legs, all the way down to the earth. Bend into the knees, and we're going to sweep all the way up to standing. Gentle the palms into heart center, and pause here, feeling that flush of energy, and roll the shoulders away from the ears. Gentle the eyes open. And let's just go ahead and start from the ground up. So starting for the feet, we're just going to take that right foot out and just roll through the ankle a few times. So I'm mirroring you, I'm sorry, here. So rolling through that right ankle, just rolling on the ball of the foot a few times, getting ourselves ready for our standing movements. Tuck the toes back and come onto the top of the foot. This is a little bit of a balancing act. So I'm stepping that foot back. I'm just getting a good stretch into the front of the ankle and also the top of the feet. Bring that foot forward, and we'll do that on the opposite side. So just starting with a little rotation in the ball of the foot in one direction. Getting all those little crackles out. And then the opposite direction. Coming to the top of the foot, tuck the toes underneath and get this nice good stretch in the front of the leg, front of the top of the foot, and that ankle here. Release the foot back, and we're going to find the feet hip width apart. If you're ever wondering what hip width apart looks like, it's basically 2 fists between the toe mount. Sometimes us women, myself included, think that I'm wider than that, but it's not. So finding hip width apart, bending into the knees, we're going to sweep the hands up towards the sky, and then gentle the palms into heart center. Let's do that again. Bend into the knees, and then we're just going to find this momentum of sweeping the hands overhead, and then back into heart. Inhaling, sweeping the hands up high, keeping that right hand above the head. Left hand is going to lower down. So we stretch and reach in this opposite direction to start with. Then start to bring that right hand over to the left side, getting into side body. That hand that is lowered keeps pressing down, and instead of hunching forward, see if we can open into the heart space. Coming back around to center, let's find that opposition of stretching in different directions. So now that left hand is stretching and reaching up, and that right hand is reaching down. Now guiding that left hand overhead to the right side, opening into side body, keeping tall in the spine and that belly button in. Take a nice few breaths here. Now bring both hands up towards center. Cactus the arms for just a moment. Shine the heart forward, elbows come towards each other. Inhale up, exhale, dive all the way down into a forward fold. Hands come to our shins and find that half lift. Melt down, forward fold. Bend into the knees, sweep the arms all the way up overhead. Cactus the heart open. Inhale, fingertips come up. Exhale, swan dive all the way back down, forward fold. Halfway lift, and then melt down. Bend the knees, come all the way back up, hands above the head, and then gentle palms into heart center. Starting to work on our balance and checking in a little bit here. We're going to take that right hand above the head, and then take it out to the side a little bit. Peel that left foot up off the earth and start to kick it out to the side. our falling star here. And if you keep falling out, just bring that toe down, and that's just fine. Kicking into the opposite direction, maybe even closing the eyes. Again, just checking out, testing our balance. Balance is really great to work on because it strengthens our ankles and our feet, but it's also good because then it helps us with our day-to-day movements. Bring that foot back down and that palm down. Let's do that on the opposite side. So stretch and reach that left hand out to the side. Right foot's gonna kick up off to that opposite side. Ooh, I'm a little better on this side. Flex the toe. And maybe just to challenge ourselves a little bit more, close the eyes down. Keep reaching in those opposite directions. Keep breathing. And bring the foot down, bring the hand down. How are we doing with balance? Balance changes often, and some days it's like nailed it, got it. Some days it's like, whoa, I'm feeling really off balance. That's totally normal. The front of our mat, bring the fingertips up. Melt down, forward fold. Halfway lift, and then melt back down. Inhale all the way back up, and then we're gonna really walk those feet together, squeezing them nice and together. We're gonna work on some strength and some balancing here. Hands are at heart center. Go ahead and sink that tailbone back, coming into our chair pose. Really squeeze those knees and those thighs. And then check in and see if we are shifting that weight. We want that weight as if the bottom is coming down and that weight is towards the heels. So even pick up those toes for a moment and then fan them back down on the earth. Chest is shining forward, bringing that sternum to the thumbs. Press firmly into the palms. Squeeze, breathe. And right away, we're gonna go into that balancing movements a little bit more. So float the palms behind, facing them up towards the sky. Still squeezing into the legs, we're gonna come up into our drinking bird. So onto the balls of our feet, but keeping those hip bones down into our chair. Belly is off the top of the thighs. Breathing here. Now start to bring the hands, we're still in this shape in the lower part of the body, but bring those hands up above the head. Ooh, challenging ourselves a lot. Now we're gonna find our palm tree, so we're slowly gonna straighten those legs, still onto the balls of our feet, palms come up. And then release the hands, release the heels down. How do we do on that one? Let's part the legs a little bit, hip width apart. Inhale up. Exhale, melt down, forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back, melt down. Bend into the knees, sweep all the way up, and then gentle the palms into heart center. We're gonna keep that right foot forward. Left foot is going to step back. We're going to find our warrior one. So in our warrior one, we keep the feet apart. I like to say rail track them. If you actually think about a lunge when we have them parted like that, but that back foot, we're going to pivot and turn it so it's facing that front corner here. This is a closed hip posture. So the hips are not opening like we have them in warrior two. They're actually facing forward. I like to think about two headlights right here on the front of those hip flexors. So sink down into that front knee without that knee going over the toes. Raise the fingertips up tall. Roll shoulders down the back. So in our warrior one, it is not a back bend. Normally we do that when we are in our lunge position, but for our warrior one, we want to keep this nice straight line. Lower the hands so they are at shoulder height. Left hand is going to stay forward as we open our right hand out into a twist. Feel this good stretch along the front of that hip flexor and the psoas. Strengthening the legs by bending in just a little bit more. Rotate the palm to meet each other in the front, or to face each other, I should say. And then open out, bringing that left hand behind. Shoulders are still facing forward though. Inhale to center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Is that lower leg feeling sore? I bet. Bring that palm back around to center. Raise the hands overhead. Release the hands behind the lower back. Interlace the fingertips. Pump that chest up. And then we're going to walk that front foot out just a little bit. So it might feel a little off balance, and that's okay. We're creating space so we can come into our humble warrior by bowing down into the space. Hands are floating up and away off of the glutes, but you don't have to raise them super high. Try to keep the wrists actually squared with each other. Little micro bend in the elbows. Breathing here. Releasing the clasp of the hands. Bring the palms down to the earth. We're going to rotate on that back foot. Both palms are on the inside of the foot. So we're now into a lunge position. Keep that left hand onto the earth and peel that right hand up. This is a good time to use that block underneath the palm on the earth. Stretch and reach and find this good twist here. Release the hand to frame that front foot. Bring all the weight is in that front foot while that back foot, the knee bends and then steps up to the front and we meet in forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to melt down. Bend into the knees, press into the feet. Sweep all the way up, tall mountain. Gentle the palms into heart center. Taking a great big inhale here. And then exhale out. Squeeze the legs together, really together. We've been here before, you know what we're doing. And if you know what we're doing and you're dreading it, try to put that aside and enjoy this movement, this strength in the body. Hands are at heart center. Sink the tailbone back. Make sure that those knees are not coming over the toes. Guide that chest forward so we're not punching down. Bringing the chest to meet the sternum. That didn't make sense. Bring the sternum to meet the thumbs. Press firmly into the palms. Float the hands behind. Start to raise up onto the ball of the feet. Tailbone is back. As if we're getting ready to skydive and jump off, or maybe a ski lift. Raise those heels up a little bit more. And then bring those palms up. Lots of balancing, lots of strength here. Straightening up, keeping the heels up off of the earth, coming into our palm tree. Release the heels down, release the hands down. Left foot stays forward. Step that right foot back, and we come again into our warrior one. So, find our alignment here. Take the hands to the hips, and make sure those hips are shining towards the front of the mat. Inhale, hands raise up tall. Bend into that front knee. Finding this nice straight spine. So that tailbone is coming down, and we're growing the crown of the head up. Shoulders are raised, or excuse me, arms are raised, but shoulders are rolled down. Bring the hands to the shoulder height, roll the shoulders back. This time, the left hand stays forward as that right hand comes back into that twist. Keep bending into that front knee. Bring the palm around towards the front. Open to the other side. Palm comes back around and twist again. Back to center and twist. Back to center, raise back up. Lower the hands to the back side, interlace the fingers, put that opposite thumb on top, so the one that we don't usually go with. Step that front foot a little bit wider, roll the shoulders, pump that chest up. And then we'll bow down into the space that we created. Humble warrior. Lots of strength here. Keep breathing. Engage in the core to raise back up. Walk that foot back in so they're feeling more stable. Release the clasp of the hands. Feel that tingle of energy. Bring the palms up. Pivot on the back foot. So now we are in our lunge position. Release forward, bow down. Both hands are on the inside of the legs to begin with. And we're going to keep that right foot or right hand down onto the earth as we peel the left hand up. Stack the shoulders. Breathe into this twist. Release the palm to frame that front foot. All of the weight is in that front foot as we step that back foot up. And we meet in forward fold. Noticing how we're feeling. Halfway lift. And then melt down. Bend the knees, sweep all the way up. Little back bend. And then hands come into heart center. Noticing the energy in the body. Taking a nice deep inhale in. And an open mouth exhale, release and let it go. Release the palms down to the hip line. Now we're going to come into our warrior two, which is different this time. Right foot stays forward, left foot's going to step back, but now we're going to line up the heel of that back foot or the arch of that back foot with the heel of the front foot. Legs are hip width apart or leg width apart, so if we could take that leg off and measure it, a little bit morbid, but think about that. So that leg is whatever leg length you have. Bending into that front knee, raise the hands so that they're level with each other. Into this nice T, peeking over the front fingertips. Bend into that knee without shifting the chest forward. We want to keep those shoulders stacked right above the hip line. Another common misalignment here is as we get tired, that knee starts to float into center. See if we can keep pressing that knee towards the pinky toe side of the mat. Sink down just a little bit more. Keep breathing here. We're going to take that back hand and slowly bring it down to that back leg. So bringing it down to that left leg as we raise the right hand, right hand overhead and keep reaching back. We're still bending into that front knee as we reverse our warrior. Breathing. Keep pressing that pinky toe side of both sides so that knee is pressing towards the pinky toe side. Come back again into our warrior two. Bring the hands to the hips, pivot the toes so they're to the wide edge of the mat. Raise the fingers up, 5-point star. Float all the way down into this wide-legged forward fold. Crown of the head is down towards the earth. Let's take a nice deep inhale and an exhale here. Left hand stays down right below the face as we peel the right hand up and twist open. Release the palm down, placing it right below the face and twist to the other side. Release the hand down. Walk the hands so that they're on top of the thighs. Tuck that tailbone down and round all the way back up to standing. We'll zip the legs together and meet at the front of the mat. So one more time with that strengthening postures that we're finding with our chair, with our little chair dance there. So zip the legs together, really together. Bring the hands to the heart and sink the tailbone back. Roll shoulders down, bring the sternum to meet the thumbs. press firmly into the hands, keeping those elbows out to the side. Coming into our drinking bird, float palms behind, come up onto the balls of our feet. Keep that bottom back. Fingertips raise up. Keep sinking the tailbone down. And then without lowering the heels, raise up, palm tree. Lower the heels and lower the hands. Let's find that warrior two on the opposite side. So this time the left foot, I'm gonna turn so my booty's not to you, but my left foot will stay forward. Right foot will step back. And we're gonna line up that ankle, excuse me, well the ankles, yes, but the heel to the heel or the heel to the arch of the foot. Sink down and take the arms parallel with each other. Make sure that they're stacking right in front of each other. Gaze is over that front middle finger. Sink down a little bit more. Should feel this good opening and stretch into the groin as well as the hips. Now this is an open hip posture. Sink down a little bit more without shifting forward. We're going to bring that back hand down to the back leg. Flip the palm of the front arm and reach overhead. Stay tall in the upper part of the body as we bend and strengthen into that lower part. Keep breathing. Start to come back again into that warrior two. Hands come to the hips, pivot the toes, wide-legged forward fold. Hands come up to that 5-point star, Pasarita, come all the way down. Left hand stays down on the earth. While we peel that right hand up and twist open. Release the palm down, and then we twist to that other side. Release the palm down. Bring the hands to the top of the thighs, tuck that tailbone down, and round all the way up. We're gonna start to walk the feet together, not coming all the way together because we're gonna come down into our yogi squat or malasana. If you have knee problems, don't go there, just meet me down on the earth. So toes are facing out. We're just gonna start to maybe shift a little into one knee and the other side to side, slowly lowering down. Lowering down a little bit more. Keep finding that little dance of shifting side to side. And then coming all the way down with the hands, press the knees open. Guide that chest just like we had in chair, where we're bringing that sternum to the thumbs. If this is too much, just come on down to the earth and you can just stay with the bottom down or even sitting on top of a block or a blanket. We're not here super long. Take a inhale with me and an exhale out. Inhaling. Exhaling out. One more time, inhaling and exhaling out. I'm not going to lie, there is not a graceful way to come out of this. At least I haven't found one yet. But you can bring the palms behind and then lower the bum down to the earth. At least if you're at home and not a public class, it's not as embarrassing to kind of plunk down that way. All right, take those legs out in front. Give a little shake out. Raise the fingertips up tall. I'm going to find one more forward fold, but this time in our seated position. So taking that length and that height with us, let's bow forward. If the feet are not accessible, that is just fine. You're going to get the same amount of the stretch by releasing the hands down towards the shins, or maybe even up towards the thighs. Wherever you're at, Breathe into back body. Breathe into this final stretch. Take your time to unwind back up to seated. We're going to come down onto that back side for just a moment. Take the feet as wide as the yoga mat. So we're creating this starfish shape. Bring the hands out. So this big X on both sides. Hands are out, facing up towards the sky. Toes are out, heels are towards each other. And just be this big starfish here. Feeling all of that energy and all that stretching, everything that you created in the body for this practice. Two more long, deep breaths. Lower the palms down, bend the knees, bring them into the chest. One more time, squeeze them here. And then allow them to waterfall to one side and come into our fetal position. Pausing, thinking about what you're going to take with you off of your mat. Pressing into that palm, raise back up to seated. We'll close our practice today by bringing the palms together at heart center. Inhale. And exhale, sigh it out. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your time, your energy, and your practice. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Namaste.